Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jeffrey Combs, President and Founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. Welcome to Facebook Live. My privilege and pleasure to be here with you on a beautiful Tuesday. This is the first Tuesday in September, year of our Lord, 2022. Topic for today's Facebook Live is present moment consciousness. Good to be here with you this afternoon. Avery, how are you? Good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege and pleasure to be here with you. Avery, thank you for the referral today. Tracy Calvert, thank you very much for being here today. Thank all of you for being here. Here is an absolutely great book. The Ego is Not the Real You. Notice this is a very small book and a book that I highly recommend. Lisa Faye Pizanza, good to see you this afternoon. Good to see all of you here this afternoon. John Falcone, welcome to Facebook Live. Lynette, good to see you. Topic for today's Facebook Live is present moment consciousness. What an applicable topic for today's world. It is very easy to go down the rabbit hole of what is happening in the world and get overwhelmed in today's world. It's also just as easy to be and stay present and focus on what's going to bring you a return on energy. Lynette says hello to all. Cassie just joined us and says good afternoon. Lisa's joined us. James Pryor's joined us. And it's good to be here with you on Tuesday. This used to be the More Heart Than Talent call. This is the Tuesday, 2 for Tuesday, Jeffrey Combs Facebook Live. Topic for today is present moment consciousness. It means I am here, I am now. Now this book is on the ego. The ego is the lower self. The ego that stays in anxiety, fear, and doubt is not present because that ego is focused on the past. That is resentment, and focused on the future. That is worry. So anxiety, fear, and doubt. And that ego spends its time in an overwhelmed state. Anxiety, fear, and doubt, driven by emotions of anger, hate, resentment, guilt, shame, abandonment, rejection, overwhelmed feelings, grief, apathy, and pride. Those are the main emotions that will keep you in an overwhelmed state of anxiety, fear, and doubt, and that will keep you not in the present. The present is being able to be here, be now, meaning that you're aware, you understand, you're able to experience, you're able to witness, you're able to watch, you're able to participate, and you're right here, right now. And your communication style is a communication style of clarity. When you're not present, then the communication is kinda, guess, probably, if I had to say, and that communication is based on uncertainty. When you're uncertain, and if you're uncertain occasionally, but if you're uncertain a large percent of the time, then you're going to be in an overwhelmed state. You are human and you're going to relapse. You're going to relapse emotionally, but the degree and the length of your relapse is determined by how committed you are to being and staying present. The book, The Power of Now, broke this down many years ago by Eckhart Tolle when he started to cover that. And so the ego, the analytical egoic mind, that's the mind that processes, thinks, validates, justifies, explains, worries, and then also feels criticized, feels sensitive and defensive, and whines and complains, and wants recognition, and wants other people to shout them out, and to give them credit, and to give them compliments, and that ego craves attention. That's not the present. In present moment awareness, which is power, the man or woman who learns to be in power requires no recognition, shout outs, rewards, walking a stage, a medal, a handout, a hug, or a high five. Although those can all be components that do happen and can happen, it means you're not dependent upon it. And if you're dependent upon recognition, if you're dependent on rewards, if you're dependent on outside approval, then you can't possibly be present because you're worried about that. You're craving it. You're trying to seek it. But when you are good enough, when you don't require any outside approval, when you're in your own power, when you can build a team autonomously. I coach people that build teams in multiple business ventures, in insurance, real estate, network marketing, direct sales, and then there are business owners that have teams of people at lease stations from them or other situations. And in the team culture, it still comes down to your own autonomy. Are you able to produce? But the ego wants to blame someone else. My upline, my leader, my mentor, my manager, my boss, my significant other is not giving me the love, is not giving me the attention. Well, in a very relaxed state, when you are consciously aware, when you are good enough, that doesn't happen to you because you're not in an ego, you're in yourself. The lower self is the ego, the analytical, egoic mind that chronically craves attention, craves conflict, someone to blame, someone to pass the buck to, someone to worry about, someone to be in conflict with. Unfortunately, that is what's going on in our world today. We are in the Great Divide, and doesn't matter what city you're in, what country you're in, you're going to be experiencing it. But that doesn't mean you have to participate in it. You can be the experiencer, the watcher, without being seduced in it, especially if you're in the present. If you're in the present, you're able to adapt and adjust quickly. You're able to let go quickly. You're able to not personalize situations. You're able to breathe and release. And it's important that you also are able to produce autonomously, where you don't have to have supervision or a boss or someone looking over your shoulder. Kevin, good to see you this afternoon. Wojo, Matt Hill, thank you for joining. Nadia, good to see you. I'm looking forward to coaching you this evening. The topic that I'm covering today is present moment awareness. Here's the syllabus for it right here. So when I wrote this out the other day, it's right here. This is the syllabus here and now, and this is the content that I email out for this specific Facebook Live if you do want to follow along. What does being here and being now mean? It means you're present. It means if you're conversing with your wife, husband, significant other, your children, you're not looking at the device. You're not over here. You ever go to a restaurant and see a table, a family, and they're all on their devices and no one's talking? Well, that, unfortunately, is what is happening in today's world. The great distraction is happening. Social media, mainstream media, sports, entertainment, Netflix. There's a whole series of events that serve to distract us. You can go into a bathroom and there's the moving screen, or you can go into a restaurant and they have a screen with advertisements going on in front of it. It means it's very easy for the eye iris to get unfocused, and the left eye iris goes up here, over here, and then the communications, okay, sure. It means that person is not listening. That is a checked out situation. And when you're checked in, you're right here. You're in here, you're in your power, you're a skilled listener, you're hearing what's said, you hear what's meant, you're conscious. And when you're conscious, when you're in awareness, understanding and knowing, it means you're in full capacity. It means your intuition, your extrasensory perception, your inner knowing is you're operating and transmuting at a very high level of energy. And in that level of energy, you'll be able to download content. So in universal law and universal content will come to you, and then that's what accesses your brilliance. You're able to write a song, you're able to write a post, you're able to write a paragraph, a blog, and you're able to write that on command in the present. In an overwhelmed state, the ego then goes, well, I'm not good at that. There's no way. I have writer's block. I don't know what to write, who to be, what to say. I don't want to put myself out there. This is very difficult for me. You have no idea what I'm going. That's the ego that wants attention. The ego that wants to avoid. This is a great book. The Ego is Not the Real You. I highly recommend this book. It's a very, very small book, published by Hay House, Louise Hay's company. And for those of you who follow David Hawkins, this is his smallest book that he has ever written. David Hawkins passed in 2012. This is a collection of his best content, specifically on the ego, the lower self, the component of consciousness and unconsciousness that operates in anxiety, fear, and doubt. The ego will chronically say, how do I? Well, it's not a how do I, it's an I am state. I am letting go, the separation between the feelings and the events that shape them. And as you are letting go, you are not the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. In present moment awareness, relapses are few. In anxiety, fear, and doubt, relapses are prevalent. In present moment awareness, you understand that the pleasure isn't worth the pain. You won't relapse because you understand it's just not worth it. And in that energy, you're able to let go easily and effortlessly. You're not tempted to relapse, to have a drink, to scroll down the rabbit hole, or waste your time on situations that aren't inspiring or not valuable. But the ego that wants to be distracted to take itself out of its pain or pain body will chronically look for other ways and distractions to avoid being the best self. The reason that so many people stay where they are is because the degree of difficulty of changing has a degree of difficulty that most people aren't willing to address. The most difficult aspect of change is understanding that the body becomes emotionally addicted to a set of feelings, and then the body that runs the brain reacts to the stimulus before the brain even knows it. That's a mind-body connection. Now, once understood, once you grasp what that means, and you're able to practice emotional discipline, then you can learn to interrupt a feeling, accept the feeling, and then be able to let go of the feeling. So you can be angry, pissed off. You can accept that, but that doesn't mean that you live in it. And by accepting it, you're able to neutralize it. So when you accept that you're angry at someone, and you're in road rage at someone, or any multitude of situations, or you're resentful at someone, and you're able to accept that feeling, that's being able to take a moral inventory of yourself and let go. That is a skill set. Now that's called a response. Now this would be a reaction. This will be a response. Here's my left hand. This is reacting. Here's my right hand. This is responding. So the left hand goes like this. The left hand goes just like this. By God, I can't believe this. This always happens to me. That's the reaction. That's the hypervigilance, fight or flight. That's brain fog, meaning the amygdala, which is a small component of the brain, the amygdala enlarges. The hippocampus, which is the memory, shrinks. The prefrontal cortex shrinks. That's where discernment is. The hippocampus is memory. And in that memory, the body that reacts remembers the trauma. Now, this is the right shoulder. Right here, this is the left shoulder. So in a reactive state, here's how the body goes. Now, I'm right-handed. So when I became clean and sober at 31, I developed a migraine headache that lasted for 6 years. It's because I wasn't medicating myself on alcohol. I wasn't medicating myself on sex. I wasn't medicating myself on the same level of anger, rage, and hate I was in. But my body was still holding on to a series of feelings and events. I developed a syndrome called TMJ, tension mandibular joint, and I was clenching and grinding on this side. So I'm right-handed. This means this side right here. I clench. This also means C1 and C2. And that also creates a challenge in lumbar 3 and 4 on the opposite side of the body. So that in overcompensating, which I was doing through my entire childhood and 20s, in fight or flight, I become addicted to the feelings of the emotions, but it creates a neurochemical response, and that response, fight or flight, hypervigilance, creates a neurochemical adrenaline and cortisol. So we virtually become addicted to that reaction. And now, once understood, you can begin the let go process by separating the feelings and the events that shape them, a longer breath cycle, understanding why you do what you do, and putting energy into daily, one day at a time, not relapsing emotionally or in other outside influences. This can unequivocally be mastered, and the degree of difficulty changes because you understand why you do what you do. You unequivocally cannot change what you avoid. You cannot change what you're in denial of. Because when you're in denial, that means you're definitely not in the present. When you're in denial, you're overwhelmed. And then the ego goes, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. Why would I do this? Why would I want to sabotage myself? Well, people sabotage themselves because of the payoff that comes from sabotaging themselves. There's a payoff that the ego derives, and it does not want to let go. It wants to hold on to that space that is familiar. And in that familiar zone that we hold on to, we recreate the same situation over and over. And then that creates a tolerance. So if you're 30, 40, 50, the tolerance is higher. And it's the same, shows up in alcohol. Even though you can have an alcohol tolerance, that doesn't mean you'll drink more. It means that you'll get drunk quicker, just like this. It's like 0 to 90. The same happens emotionally because the longer you hold on to the lingering effects of the events that shaped your feelings, well, it's like 0 to 90. You're in the sauce, you're in the soup, just like this. And the more that you can let go, the separation from the feelings and the events, that's what creates consciousness. That's what creates the present. And then you're not giving energy to the same situations that you used to. That's the growth. That also changes who and what you attract. For those of you who seek to change what you attract, so if you're in a business and you want to attract people that have higher consciousness, or if you're mating and dating and you don't want to attract the same narcissistic, passive-aggressive men or women that you have been attracting, or if you seek to attract an employee that's going to be more in alignment with your goals, attraction is a skill. And attraction is broken down and explained in transcending levels of consciousness. And transcending means you're able to elevate your energy on a map of the scale of consciousness, where you're transmuting your energy at a much higher level. So the level that you would begin to transmute in is awareness. That means you're able to accept. Awareness and acceptance are a major component of this breakthrough transformation, meaning that you're able to accept where you are without criticizing yourself. You're able to neutralize the "I should be further along." Well, that contradicts present moment consciousness, because in the present you'd recognize that you're right here for a purpose. You're here because of your actions and your feelings and your situation. So that acceptance begins to change the game. And then acceptance, you can all move into gratitude. Because in gratitude, you feel grateful for the opportunity. Instead of being pissed off and feeling like you're behind and should be further along, and you look at your bank account, and you instead of looking at your bank account, you look at your emotional account. Because your emotional account can absolutely change your bank account. And do you feel prosperous, or do you look at your bank account and feel broke? I mean, that's the perception that you begin to change. And so when you move into acceptance and gratitude, grateful for the opportunity to be given this great opportunity at 51 or 61 or however young or old you are, that you have the ability to change. That's the gratitude that you require. It's a major component of any 12-step program. That step one is being able to take a moral inventory of self and be clear on why you do what you do. And then as you begin to have a better understanding of this process, and you live and stay more in the present instead of the regret of the past. I can't believe I did this. I have so many failed ventures, and I don't know how I'm going to pull it off. I don't know when to pay my bills. Well, that doesn't mean that you're just happy and cheery every day. But what it means is you're aware, you understand, and you know. You know that you're good enough to figure it out. You know that you're innovative and creative enough that you'll come up with a solution. That's the present. But if you start worrying about how you're going to pull it off and how you're going to stay sober and how you're going to build this business when you aren't good at attracting, and you get into all this story, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to have something to take that edge off. And that something can be avoidance, procrastination, hesitation, levitation. It can be you'll medicate yourself with drugs, food, alcohol, and other situations that then lead to guilt and shame. And so when you're in that energy, there is no present, because you're in the past and the future in the same situation in an overwhelmed state of unconsciousness. My name is Jeffery Combs, president and founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. I highly, highly recommend this book. So this book, once again, David Hawkins. It's called The Ego Is Not the Real You. It's a very small book. It can travel with you anywhere. If you're on today's Facebook Live and you're new to my content and you would like to receive a free 20-minute coaching call, feel free to go right up in your messenger, send me a message, and I'll respond to you within 24 hours. If you're an existing client or a former client would like to add on your existing coaching, feel free to send me a message and I will also respond to you within 24 hours. Topic for today's Facebook Live was present moment consciousness. I'm going to hit the record button in less than 60 seconds and this content will be recorded. You are welcome, Lisa. I am honored to be here with you. Ashley, good to see you this afternoon. Joe Casper, thank you very much for being here today. Thank all of you. James Pryor, congratulations on your successes. I'm going to go spend some quality time with my assistant, Henry, as we are focusing in the present on marketing strategies. Avery, good to see you this afternoon. Thank all of you. Have a great day. Lynette, goodbye.